Hey, Justin here with Stay at Home Dads Podcast. Welcome to the place I talk about a lot of dad stuff, family and kid stuff, as well as various guy thoughts and topics that intrigue me and hopefully intrigue and interest you. Alright, today is part 2 of the chat I had with my good friend TJ from last week. So we continue talking about small business, more stories of the lake, stories from our childhood, following your dreams or reaching your goals, and also the risks that come with making those really big decisions. It's a Zoom call, by the way, if you didn't know that from last week. So what comes with Zoom calls is that lovely, spotty Zoom quality audio. So it just gets a little bit hard to hear a few times, so be patient, and I'm sorry about that. But anyways, sit back, relax, and enjoy part 2. So we were talking about following your dreams and doing all that stuff, right? But I don't think a lot of people can say what they're really doing is what they want to do. You know, they dream about it, they talk about it, but they never actually fulfill it. So
yeah, most of them, they just, how my kids, when they were a kid, wanted to be a cop. They grew up and now they're an accountant. There's a job that's available, they take it, and most people are miserable with their jobs because of it.
So how did you, I don't want to say, do you have any advice? But do you have any advice? How did you make that happen? Was there a leap that you had to take? Like, okay, this moment is uncomfortable for me, but, you know, or this is a risk because there's risk involved. I have to buy a boat. I have to do all this. I have to get business insurance. Was there anything that you were like, okay, I just got to do it and see if it works out? Did that thought ever kind of go through your head?
Because I started guiding hunting first, and I just fell into that. Because my one uncle was like, right, you should come bear hunting with me. So I did. And I kind of got thrown into helping him guide because he had clients from Missouri, and it worked. Right. I grew up hunting and fishing. I'm a natural at that, I guess.
Mm-hmm. And you're like, okay, like I could do that. I could do this on my own.
Yeah. For the hunting. Absolutely. And then, my Uncle Larry has Minnesota's largest bear outfitting service.
Okay.
So they asked if I'd help them out. So I did. And that's a whole other story there.
And the rest is history. Yeah.
Yeah. That's don't ever work for family members type thing.
I've known that. Like, don't work for family, don't work for friends. I know sometimes, sure, there's certain situations where that's fine and it works out and great and everything is hunky dory. But I've worked with friends and sometimes it's ruined friendships. It's changed dynamics. And
I've got some friends that I could not work with no matter what because they're too fucking lazy and they would stand around and do nothing.
Yeah.
But so like the guiding with hunting, I just fell into that and done that. There was no actual investment on my part for there at all. Right. But with the fishing, it was, I started my fishing page because I've got just, Lake of the Woods real fishing reports, just to give reports to help people learn, maybe figure out better tactics and what to use, what's working, whatever on the lake. And I had so many people requesting or asking me to take them fishing and wanted to pay me for it.
You kind of saw a need, or you're like, oh, like this could be something.
And that's exactly where it started. And I got talking with another friend of mine, and he's like, we should take the class together and help each other out. And so we did, and took the class together and got looking, and I'm like, well, I'm going to need a boat. I don't want to get one that's terribly expensive because, if it doesn't pan out, I want a boat that I can still afford.
Yeah.
And then I got looking, Lake of the Woods, it's not your average monster of a lake. Anyone who thinks a Ranger 621 is a great boat, no, it's not. It's a piece of crap boat. At least one ear flips on this lake. Their transoms break. Their hulls crack. They are not big water boats. They don't handle big water well at all. So I'm like, well, I don't know if I want one of these Pro Series walleye boats because they suck. They're great on most lakes, but not Lake of the Woods because we can get 8-foot waves.
Yeah.
Our 8-foot waves aren't like on the ocean or the Great Lakes or the big rollers. They're close together. They flip boats. They come over the side. They fill them up with water.
Yeah.
And I was like, I could buy a sport craft because that's what all the resorts use. And
that's like all the that's what I mean, for people that don't know. I know there's probably a lot of people that don't know what boats we're talking about, but a sport craft is like the traditional big boat covered operating area. It's got a big hard cover on the top. It's got a closed in bow, right? All that stuff. Big fishing area in the back. Okay.
Yeah, it's your classic like charter boat that you would see. And they use them on oceans too.
Okay.
A sport craft is the Bayliner of the sea. They're actually a cheap boat, which is why I didn't buy one.
Okay.
And I looked at it, and there's so much maintenance. It's like, God damn, you got to replace the stringers every 5 to 8 years. They're designed to leak. You got to keep the water bearing cool, so they got to leak water around that. So you have to have a good auto bilge, and those things go out all the time. And I got looking at the cost and amount, and I found a boat. Price was right. Oh my God, it's been a money pit. Spent $6,000 on the boat. I put $20,000 into it.
Oh my gosh. Well, there goes all your good years from last year, right?
Well, I pretty much broke even last year. Paid for everything I put into it.
Right.
But got a boat that it's a good boat. If the guy didn't work out, it's a great family boat. It's big enough. It's 22.5 feet, but I have more fishing space than a 27-foot sport craft. And it's got a cab.
There you go.
And as long as you keep plastic, it's too high. So like I put into that. I took that leap with it. And Aaron, the friend of mine that does it, we'll pass clients back for it. Like if I can't take him, I'll give him his number, vice versa. And we're constantly communicating on the water as well. But I got into that and trying to work and to build clientele up. And then it was working. And I'd pick up charter ships for a couple of the resorts. Like there's a few of them I don't believe in the way they run things. So I wouldn't work for them. Just morals issues there. And then not the summer got over, of course, but the one before is when I took my full-time leap. And the big push on that was actually Amy, because she was making enough money that
your wife, Amy, your wife. Yeah. Okay.
That I could take that jump financially.
To where if this doesn't totally, like if I'm not just bringing it in, or if it doesn't totally work the way I think it is in my mind, we can still cover our lifestyle.
Yes. Yep. And she goes, well, you want to do it full time? Why not give it a shot? And then I did.
That's awesome. That's crazy. Well, you're young. Well, not your business. You're 40.
Not that young.
You're 40. But your business is what? You said essentially this was the second summer, so it's 2 years, 2 seasons.
Yeah, 2 years of full time doing it.
So that's a young business. That's not, it's not built up. What am I trying to say? It's not, you know what I mean? It's not super well established. You're getting your name out there still. You're still building it. You're still working on it. So, I mean, that's good from start. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, and nice things. I do have the benefit. I'm one of the few people that guide on the lake are from here. Like I grew up here, you know. On my dad's side of the family, they're one of the first families to settle around Lake of the Woods. My great grandfather and his brothers, Lake Woods, and had a fishery in the Long Point area. And then my dad worked growing up for mink farmers that had commercial fishing operations, and they used their commercial fishing to get their mink feed. So, you know, one way or the other, I've been kind of attached to this lake. And then, like when we were kids, we were out fishing all the freaking time.
Oh yeah.
Like,
yeah. When we were going out with my stepdad, you know, and his little 16-foot boat all the time, and
the one thing I love to tell people a story about when people are like, oh, this is so rough, I wouldn't come out here anything less than, and they'll give me a size boat, and I'll be like, well, I went with my buddy and his dad when we were like 15 years old in this little 16-foot Londo 20-horse Johnson on it, and we're in Manitoba in Buffalo Bay.
Yeah.
Like, and we're like 6-foot waves out there. We're coming back in after just shitty fishing one day, and we caught a wave wrong, went right through the center of the wave, and that boat filled up to the top with water. Like, my buddy's bailing with a coffee can, I'm bailing with a middle bucket. We got into the harbor, returning mud going into their little canal coming to the harbor, and his dad had an 87 Blazer. Like, he had to back that thing up until there's water to the back seat just to get the trailer down enough to get the boat out of the water.
I mean, you make it work. I never felt fishing in that little boat
for 15 miles.
I can think back when we were on that lake as kids, like I never felt in danger, even in that little boat, you know, but that's because we were used to it. We grew up there. We knew it. It was like not necessarily a big deal, you know? So it's just interesting people's perspectives. You get these city guys that come up like, oh, there's no way I would do this. And you're like, well, hold on a second. Let me tell you some stories, you know?
Yeah, well, I had a guy, I did a transport service. I ran 3 people up to Eagle Ridge on Oak Island, picked up 4 from Sunset Lodge in Oak Island. They're from Nebraska. And I picked up 3 people at Youngs Bay. And they're from the cities. They'd been up here the ones from that were at Youngs Bay I picked up. The guys from Nebraska, they'd never seen anything like this. They've been on the ocean. They'd never seen anything like it. I had a 44-year-old man crying, bawling his eyes out. He was so scared. Because we'd like get to the trough of the wave, and the waves, we had 8+ foot waves out there.
Right. And all you see is water around you?
There's a reason that I got called and asked if I'd take that trip and why the owner of the company didn't do it. I did it. And there was water well above the roof of the boat. And I took 2 waves over the top from the front and one all the way over from the side. And he cried and cried. So scared.
How was the fishing though? Fine?
No, that wasn't even fishing that day. It was just
Oh,
transport.
just
I
transport.
bring it
Okay,
back.
yeah, that's what you said. Yeah.
And it's okay. I do this all the time.
So how do you
Like, I
find
grew up
clients? Like how do you advertise? Is it just all word of mouth for you?
On Facebook. Word of mouth does a lot of it. Otherwise, I advertise on Facebook.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Leave cards. I got places where I put up piles of cards and stuff like that.
Oh, so you have business cards. You kind of really you promote yourself. You put things out there. You talk to people. Have people say, "Hey, if you had a good time, spread the word." Blah blah blah. That kind of thing.
I got to get it back advertised with the. I did 1 year and it worked better. And I didn't renew it this year. I need to. The local tourism bureaus.
Oh, okay. So you get a lot of work, a lot of clients from there.
Yeah, that's probably the best way to do it, because you'll get people who be like, "Hey, I want to go up Lake Lewis fishing. Who should I go through?" And then they'll click and they'll give you a list of guides and their Facebook pages or websites if they have them. Costs you like your first year is $75. And I think it's $275 each year after that.
Mm-hmm. That's not bad though. I mean, if it brings in one group of clients, it pays for itself, right?
Pay for it. Yep.
Yeah. So do you think you'll ever go back to a traditional job? Do you think you'll ever, as long as everything is good, do you have, I imagine you have no want to ever.
I have
work
no
for
desire
someone.
to.
Yeah.
They say that the average retirement age right now is 67 years old. The average death is 78. No, chances of me retiring are slim to none. But if I do I really want to work something I hate the rest of my life and then live 11 years?
Right.
Like, being younger, I always said retirement age should have been from the time you were born until you're like 35, 40. Because then you still got the body that's able to do things and truly enjoy yourself.
Right. Yeah.
Until you die.
Yeah. You have a retirement savings. You do all this stuff. You retire at 65. You retire at 68. But then you're older. Your body doesn't work as well as it should. You're limited as to where you can go or what you can do. And then you're looking at the easy chair, and hanging out at home. It seems like, anyways. Yeah.
So I'm like, I'd rather do what I'm enjoying, even if it means I'm never going to retire, because if I'm retired, what am I going to do? I'm going to go fishing. So why not get paid while I'm doing it? It's not likely that I'm going to be like, you know what? I think it's time I'm going to go back and work in a factory and work my life away and have 1 day off in a week because I have no choice. And
have someone tell you what your priorities should be and be like, this job's your priority. And it's like, well, no. And like I said, I commend you. Like you took that leap and you're doing this. And I've wanted to do that with, I work on diesel stuff. I work on engines, and I could turn that into a business, but it's like, I'm scared of risk, and I wish I wasn't, but I am. And it's hard for me to step out of that bubble of where I'm at to like risk myself or my name or, getting sued or whatever.
But you listed a perfect thing there. The worried about risking your name, getting sued. All it takes is one person that blames you for what was wrong with the vehicle. Like say someone brought someone and said, "Hey, I need U-joints."
Yep.
Cool. You change your U-joints. Well, maybe they've been driving around for 2-3 weeks with the U-joints bad and it caused vibration of the differential and it destroyed the ring gear. Yeah. Well, the differential goes out. So now they're suing you because your job caused that to go wrong,
Yeah.
Like, and that's because I've got my buddy that does my mechanic work for me, because I just don't have the patience. I change spark plugs in my boat sometime. I can get one. I don't know how he does this because his hands are huge. I pay him for it. I'd rather just pay him to do it. And he does it on the side. He works full-time job and he farms part-time for his grandpa. And then he's got his own little side business mechanic shop.
Okay.
And the reason he hasn't turned into a full-time business is exactly that. I mean, he does well with his side business. So I know he does because I've spent $20,000 and probably $10,000.
Yeah, with your boat stuff, right?
Yeah, cash, Yeah, and he gets plenty of business with it, but it's that fear. And he's got people he's fixed their stuff and said, "Don't ever come back."
Yeah,
because I don't want to deal with your crap anymore. It's
right.
Like, I didn't cause that. They came in with that problem. You didn't want me to fix that. Now you're trying to say it's my fault.
Right. It's can of worms situation. Like I worked at a diesel shop in Vegas for a long time, and it was like that. You fix problem A, and then all of a sudden it can of worms opens to problem B and C, and then the people are blaming you that you didn't do your job right, and then it turns into this whole thing. And yeah, I just don't know if I want to deal with that. If I could do something else though, and have my family, I mean, I'm a stay-at-home dad, have my kids, that's my priority. I still I'm the primary, that's my primary, what I'm trying to say is that's my primary focus. And then if I could find something, which maybe I'll find it someday, maybe I don't know, I'll go inspect houses or I'll do something. I don't know. But something that I can do for myself and make my own schedule and then come back and tend to my kids and watch them grow up and help them in life and then do some of this on the side, I don't know. That's kind of where I want to be at some point.
And it's like with guiding fishing, I try to take every hook out of every fish. Like I try to net, land every fish, remove every hook. I try to, if they need to get retied, I put them on. I'll let them bait their own hooks. And that's where I try to keep it, because that's the lowest risk of them jabbing them hooks.
Oh, you're trying to mitigate injury.
Yes, because maybe they're going to try to sue you for it.
Right. Or if someone tries to land their own fish and they fall overboard and then they,
exactly.
God forbid they drowned or whatever, or they hit their head and then I see. Yeah. There's some risk there.
I've pulled a lot of hooks out of myself because of it. I've got to the point where I just clinch down on my teeth, yank it out, don't even make a face. And people are like, you didn't even flinch. Oh, I knew it was coming.
You're like, well, I'm used to it.
And when you do take it on yourself, that's definitely something you got to worry about, think about, because not everybody is common sense.
Yeah.
Perfect example of lack of common sense. It rained here on Sunday night, Monday morning, and like the entire state of Minnesota was covered with rain, and half the state's still in drought. The rest of the state, it's farming season where they're harvesting, and if they're not harvesting their crops, they're tilling their fields, kicking that dirt up. So there's all kinds of dirt in the atmosphere over here. Well, it rained, and down in the Twin Cities, all these cars and decks and everything, they're covered with dirt from the raindrops. Fourth grade elementary school stuff, when they teach you about how a raindrop forms or a snowflake,
right?
It forms around dust particles, dirt particles in the air. Well, when there's more of them, you get more dirt and dust and raindrops. The news down in the Twin Cities had to cover it because nobody had ideas what's going on. They're calling police and stuff, wondering, is there fires? What's going on here? Is this ash in my house? Common sense doesn't exist anymore. I woke up, I walked outside, my truck looked like someone had dumped muddy water on it. And I went, there's some dirty rain last night.
And they're calling and freaking out, thinking that the sky is falling.
It's common sense. It's something that you were taught at 10 years old.
Yeah, we teach all our kids that, like, okay, this is what this means. Try to figure it out on your own before you panic and think that someone stole my stuffed animal or something. Well, hold on. Look around. Nobody broke into the house to steal a stuffed animal. Like, in its most basic form, anyways.
Yeah. And that's when you do your business, you got to look at that and be like, all right, if I got 10 people, 7 of them have no common sense.
Right. Just assume you have to assume that nobody knows anything.
Yes. And that is probably the toughest part when you do start your own business and you're going to do something like that, because you've got to worry about what are they going to do? What are they going to accuse you of? What aren't they going to comprehend or understand? You get that. You really do.
I mean, yeah, because you're not going to sit down and ask every individual, no matter what business it is, like, okay, do you know this? Do you know A, B, and C? Oh, you don't. Like, you might as well just assume that and get used to that mindset that you're catering, taking care of.
If you're going to do it, you don't necessarily need to be good at what you do.
Yeah.
But you need to know a lot about what you're doing.
Right.
That's probably most of what it is, because I don't know how many times I get asked, what are the limits? What are the slots? And the same person might ask me the same question 5-6 times in a day. And then, of course, you can get the questions, well, how big's the lake? How deep's the lake? How many islands are on the lake?
Well, that was another thing, is like, you have to get with guiding, and you're the face of your business. You're dealing with people every day. You have to get good with that small talk and that chit chat and that, just silly questions, and not get frustrated with these people, like you said, asking the same question 5 different ways. And you just have to kind of keep that smile on your face and keep going.
And then you got to be able to play the personality game right away.
Yeah.
Like, you got to take a little while to kind of figure it out. And I had one guy this summer, and the only guy I've ever had do this, it blew my mind. There's a group, it was a father, his 2 sons, the father's brother, and the father's father. So grandfather, 2 sons, and 2 grandchildren. Well, the one who has the 2 sons, he had worked with the biology side of Minnesota GNR, and actually pretty interesting what he was talking about. Friendly enough guy. Yeah. His son works at a pheasant farm that does guided pheasant hunts. You show up to the farm, you buy your 25 birds or whatever, they go place them, or they have something called tower hunt. So I'd be picking up with that. The one brother, he moved out to, I believe he said, live in Oregon, if I remember right. Funny as hell. The old man's retired. I don't remember what he did other than farming, and he still does some farming. Funny as hell. And the kids are funny as hell. Notice the one I didn't say was funny as hell. So everyone's all joking around except the one guy, and he's just kind of quiet. So joke around. One son played baseball, so I told me I'm not a fan of baseball. It's so boring. Like, I can play it, but I can't stand watching it.
Right.
And I was like, you know why softball is better than baseball? And he goes, what? I'm like, it takes bigger balls.
It's a joke. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a joke. And we're all laughing and stuff, and we're joking around, and I'm giving them shit. They're giving me shit, and it's like I've known them forever. And the guy in the corner starts shaking, like visibly shaking. And he turns around and starts screaming at me for insulting his kids and his father. And I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, hang on, am I to apologize if I've offended you?
Right.
Like, I'm just treating you like people I've known my entire life. I'm like, we're joking around. They're giving me crap. I'm giving them crap. You know, your dad's giving me shit. I'm giving him shit. He's like, I don't like, I pay for a vacation. And he's screaming at me, screaming. Finally, his brother goes, I guess I better apologize too, because I'm doing the same thing. And then he just kind of like, and his dad looks at him and goes, I guess I need to apologize too, because I'm doing the same thing. So then it was like an hour and a half of being really tense, trying to like small talk.
Awkward.
Yeah. And the dad whispered something into the guy who blew up on me's ear. I don't know what he said. They didn't file a complaint. They gave me a $160 tip. So I got a nice tip. And we caught fish. You know, it wasn't the greatest fishing, but we caught fish. I think we were 2 away from limited out. And like the brother and I were joking around with each other still. It's just like, what the fuck is this guy's problem?
Right.
Like,
and then now you have to cut this tension that's like just all of a sudden exploded. Now that's like a weird, like you said, awkwardness for 2 hours or an hour, you know, and I don't know what I should say. I don't know what I should do.
The boat was joking around except one guy. Yeah. And that one guy is like Mr. Serious.
Yeah.
I'm not a serious person. I've never been.
No, you're not. Yeah.
I never will be.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, oh shit, like this sucks. And I was just like, all right, you guys have a good day. Problem their fish. And I tried to apologize again, and his dad and his brother apologized for him as well for that. And then that guy apologized for his outburst. I'm just like, well, thank you. I appreciate that. You know.
And then they gave you a nice tip. So
yeah, give me a nice tip. So I didn't know what to say other than that, because you got offended over me joking around with the kids, but you didn't have a problem with them giving it back.
Right.
And I was totally fine to give it back. It added to the laughs and the fun.
Rough day, maybe a rough day or something like that. So
I went back into the lodge and said, I don't want them guys tomorrow.
Find them a new captain.
Yeah. We switched boats. Someone else.
So this is like 2 years, right? This is your second year. Where do you see this business? Where do you see yourself? You know, where does this going 5 years from now? Where would you like to be?
It almost turned into owning a resort already.
Okay. That's kind of cool. That's a big
Morris
jump.
Point came up for sale, and I had the financing.
Mm-hmm.
Everything was lined up. I just needed a $600,000 down payment.
Yeah. Could be hard.
And that's not the easiest thing to come up with. So I wasn't able to do it. But 5 years, hopefully in 5 years.
Like running 2 boats, maybe running more guys?
That's actually absolutely would be in the plan with it.
Okay.
2, possibly 3. Have some lodging for bear hunting and waterfowl hunting, even if it's a couple of campers set up.
Right. Yeah.
But just have enough where we can lodge, you know,
few groups or whatever.
Being where I don't need to worry about, you know, a winter job or something like that, because I haven't full time done it in the winter. This year we're just kind of adding that into it, so I still make sure I've got something in the winter for income.
Yeah.
So hopefully get rid of where I don't have to worry about that, and it's full time year round stuff.
That'd be good.
That's like I said, having.
And then you're gonna dabble. So you're gonna get into ice fishing. You've done water, you know, open water, ice fishing, bear hunting,
and waterfall. We've done it this year already. We started in that. We've had a few.
Okay.
Now looking forward to in about a week, because in a week we got some groups for November 1st through 3rd. You can go duck hunting. And
guns adds a new layer of safety.
Well, so far it's been okay. So far. And the guns, it doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
Not when I can see them usually anyways. The only time I've ever been concerned with that was walking on a client from Florida. Never met the guy. I took a day off because I'd been out at my uncle's camp for like 40 days straight. Hadn't been home. I was like, I need a day off.
Yeah.
So I took a day and went home, showered, slept in my own bed, come up there next evening. And my uncle Larry is like, there's a guy. I don't remember his name. He goes, he's up at Bushy Grove. If you want to go pick him up. He's from Florida. He got here today, so he got his bonus day hunt. Like, oh, awesome. Well, when you spend 40 days walking in and out of trails, when it's pitch ass black and dark out, you don't need a flashlight.
Right.
You know your way in and out of there, no problem. So the guy sitting on the stand, I'm sure he's got better vision than I do at the moment because he's been adjusted to it.
Right.
So I walk in without a flashlight, and I'm just about to the base of the stand. I hear a couple of cracks on the ground ahead of me. So I start lightly whistling. I'm just like,
right. You're
so
making your presence known to,
Yes.
Okay, you're maybe not scaring away wildlife, but you're at least letting other humans know that there's another human here.
Yep. And I got to the base of this guy's stand, and I literally, as soon as because I grabbed the stand to make sure that's what I was looking at. It wasn't just a tree, because it is no moon out, pitch black. There was no cloud, so I could see stars, but there was no moon out. So I grabbed the stand, and as soon as I touched that stand, I heard kaboom, and I saw a flash. I heard a thud and a grunt, and I went, and I started feeling myself. Did I just get shot?
Right.
That's the first thing that went through my head. Amy was with me. She was sitting on the Ranger, and she heard it, and she thought for sure I just got shot because I walked in without a flashlight.
Right.
Well, turns out there was a bear on the bait pile. The bait pile's like 16 yards in front of me.
Oh, so that was the twig snap, right? Probably.
Yep, that's exactly what it was. And that's what the guy told me. He goes, when you're walking in, he goes, there was a bear. He goes, I could see it. He goes, I probably shouldn't have shot because it's really dark, but I could see it, and I could see my bead and everything. He was using a shotgun, 12-gauge slug. He's like, when you start whistling, it turned and it gave me the perfect shot.
You're like, oh my God.
He was like, so I was getting the bead on it, and I shot. I was like, oh my God, well, I think I got to clean my taps out because I thought you shot me.
That's insane. That's crazy.
Worst was the track job on that bear and the mile drag out. That bear, he shot right through both lungs with a 12-gauge slug. Both lungs were gone, and it went a mile. Yeah, and then I had to drag it a mile through the small.
Well, that's part of guiding, though, right? That's your job, I suppose, and you're doing that stuff.
Oh yeah, yep. And when I drag a bear, it turns out I don't like other people helping me do it because they get in my way.
Yeah, you have your own way of doing things, and you don't want help. And
I wrap the rope around my waist, and I just lean forward and I walk a direction. I just get out of my way. Just let me go.
That's like it. I have this. It's not a theory or anything, but it's another conversation we'll have to have another time about, especially men asking for help. I feel like they're terrible at asking for help, even if they need it. But this situation just reminded me of that. Like, people always try to like help, and you're like, no, I'll do it myself, and
with the bear thing, first couple times when got bear, I tried to take the help. Problem was I was taller than the people helping me. My steps are bigger, so I start moving faster, and I start tripping over the people next to me. So
right,
it ended up just being easier for me to do it. You get ahead of me, clear brush out of my way, break that tree out of the way, move that log, get rid of my resistance. And that's a good teamwork that way. They're doing something that's helping me, and I'm able just to go pull.
Right.
I don't know if I'll be able to do that anymore. I need surgery on my knee. So,
last question here on this topic, and then we'll probably take another break here in a minute because we're running out of more time. Is there anything that you wish you knew then that you know now? Or is there anything like with starting your business or doing fishing guides or anything that you would do differently, like looking back? Probably one would be buying that boat, but
well, it's not so much the one if I could. When I bought the boat, I bought it in the beginning of March. Mm-hmm. Everything was still covered in ice. I wanted to get it at the price that it was at before people started getting the buying like urge,
right?
And drove the price up. I wish I would have had a body of water, or would have taken it, had a barrel. I could have put the lower unit in and test ran it that way. Yeah. Because when you run it on earmuffs, the hose pressure it pushes water up to the engine. I would have known that the impeller in the lower unit was out, and that would have saved me. Which
draws, it sucks water up, right? So if that's shot,
that would have saved me about $12,000. So that's something. Obviously, I said in 2020.
Yeah. Know what you're getting into before you get into it.
Yep.
Really.
Yeah, I would consistently make sure that the tourism bureaus up here, make sure that I'm advertising with them.
Yeah, that's good. That's a good goal.
That's where majority of your clientele probably comes from. Make sure to consistently do that. I probably would have told Marvin to piss off sooner.
Had you known that this is going to become somewhat lucrative, or you're going to be okay, then you could have taken that leap sooner. Yeah. I think there's I think everyone probably has some side of regret in that aspect. Like, I didn't leave my job soon enough, or I was unhappy for so long and I should have just done this before. But you get complacent. I actually talked about complacency a week or two ago, and how people become complacent and they just know, you just know the job and you know what to do, and there's no more thinking and there's no more challenge, and it sucks and you don't like it, but you do it because you get paid and it's easy. And I think
when you say you can literally do your job in your sleep, it's true.
Yeah.
And then most people are creatures of habit, and they don't want to change habit. And that's what I think scares people the most. It's, you're so used to one thing, that's what you know. You may not like it. You may want to try something else, but you know that works. You know you're doing it. You know you're okay with it. So you're afraid to change.
Yeah.
You're afraid to get out of that habit and try something different.
And people, I think people just need to, I think they have to, I know it sounds so cliche or so motivational, like get out of your own way and trust yourself to some extent to do something. If you're confident, well, that's it too. Have that confidence that I can do this and actually do it, instead of just talking about it or complaining about your circumstances. Like, change them, really, is what I would say.
Yeah. It's funny. It's like with the paragliding thing. This is why I'm going to introduce it and do it on my own. I keep in contact with a lot of the clients that went to my uncle's, and I'm not going to steal them as clients. Like, if they want to come, sure, I'll take them. But
yeah.
I'm not doing it to steal them. I'm doing it because of them. A few of them to hunt with him because of me. He's like, you're the reason I came back there, because you're good at what you do. And you make sure to say that you're not a guide first, you're a hunter first.
Right.
And that's how come you guide. Because most, I'm not going to say most, I guess, with my Uncle Larry's, it's the guides don't hunt. They just guide.
It makes 100% sense that you're going to instill confidence.
That has ever even shot a bear. So I'm like, okay, I know what I'm doing because I do this on my own. And then I speak the language with them. Deer hunting and bear hunting, totally different things. And hunting isn't hunting. Remember, we'd go duck hunting or grouse hunting. That wasn't the same as deer hunting. It was a totally different thing, a totally different skill set, experience, everything. So I was able to bring that as a guide, whereas the other guides, they just brought the ability to go and put a pail of bait out, cover up some logs, and take a person to and from their stand.
Right.
But
not really the same thing. Yeah.
No, I'd walk in the woods and be like, oh, we're looking for, a bait site or something. I'd be like, well, we need certain things. When you're looking for a bait site, you're looking for food, shelter, cover, water. And you got to know what you're looking for, because if you got lots of, say, acorns on the trees, you're probably not going to pull a bear to your bait very easily. So you're looking for
there's no need, right? There's no.
Yeah. So if everything's just oak trees, how do you pick a spot?
Right.
You don't, because there's miles and miles of them. Well, now if you're sitting there in oak trees and, oh shit, there's some cranberry bushes in along this. Mm-hmm. There's where you put your bait, because there's another natural food source that's there. Okay. So now these bears are coming in and they got fruit and they got their nuts.
Yeah. And
it's just little things like that I bring into it. All my sites turn out really well. Like they still do. But get back in my whole thing here. They've told me that, I came back because of you. Like, you know what you're doing, not just because you're guiding, but because you do it for yourself. And then we'd get out hunting. If they tagged out, I'd take them with. They come and bait runs with me, and I'd share what I know. And then I have a sense of humor. I'm friendly enough, I guess.
Yeah. Well, yeah. There's so many more things that we need to talk about. I didn't even scratch the surface on a whole nother chapter. We'll have to do it next week. Actually, I'll try to have you come on, but because we're running out of time here, of course. But I just want to thank you. Thank you for coming on here. Thank you for sharing some insight into your life and your business and all that. So I just want to say thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, that's all I have for today's episode of Stay at Home Dads podcast. If you have any questions or comments for me or my friend TJ here, just go ahead and head over to my social media or over to podbean.com, leave a comment. And also, if you have any friends or family or anybody that wants to see this show or check it out, just share it with them. Let them know where it's at. It's on all the streaming platforms. So if you could do that, that would be great. Also, I will leave TJ's contact info for all his different businesses in the description, so you can check those out as well. Anyways, that's all I got for today's episode. Thank you for listening, and I'll talk to you next week.